Hi, my happy enders. It is another week, and we did it, and we're about to do it again. So that's what we do. We do it and then do it again. I think that's a song, but yeah. So same sponsors. Blue Apron also has not been fixed, so it is not blueapron.com/happyendings. It's some crazy ass link, which I can still get you. You still get 30% off your first box. They still go grocery shopping for you. They do all that stuff. And you cook and you take all the credit. And I really do like Blue Apron. I really wish they would get our code fixed, but hey, whatever. Famous Smoke Shop, they are cigars and humidors, and I just learned that word, so fancy. And they have these things that snip off the tips, so they have like little circumcisers for your cigars, which are really cool. I just want one on my keychain so I can walk around and scare people. It'll probably be better than pepper spray. Famous Smoke Shop. 2 promo codes, HOT20, HOT20, you get $20 off your purchase of $145 or more, or HOT10, HOT10 for $10 off your purchase of $85 or more. And let's just like start a cult where we all have cigar circumcisers on our keychains and just walk around. I mean, woman power. Woo! And men, you know what? Fuck it. You do it too. Like, let's all, you can be in my cult too. I don't discriminate. And Handy App. Handy App is this one-stop app that does a bunch of shit for you. And they might even like plumb for you. So plumbing. And yeah, so Handy App, you can get somebody to come clean your pool, you can get somebody to come clean your house, build simple handy things. And if you use promo code AppSave30, which is APPSAVE30, you get 30% off your first motherfucking booking. So how cool is that? Shoe Dazzle. I love Shoe Dazzle. I really do hope this promo code works, because fucking shoes, dude. Like, you go and you take a quiz, and it's between shoes and accessories, and they send you, it's a subscription, and you can pause the subscription. Same with Blue Apron. You can pause it, you can keep it going, and you get shoes once a month to your door. And if you use promo code Happy Shoes, which is HAPPYSHOES, you get $10 for your first box. So, hell yeah. And Dollar Days. I mean, if you haven't been on this website, seriously, this website is so freaking cool. This website has everything, but it's in bulk, so you can, if you like something and you want it, you can get a bunch of it and just have a shit ton of it. And it's between like shampoos, conditioners, like you can run a fucking hotel with this thing. But it also has clothes, seasonal items. Like, it's really cool. It's like Oriental trading on crack. Good crack, like not the bad crack. But if you use promo code HAPPYEndings20, HAPPYENDINGS20, you get $20 off your purchase of $200 or more. Or if you use Happy Endings Ship, HAPPYENDINGSSHIP, you get flat shipping rate for $9.95. We had Alycia Cooper on this podcast, this episode. It was super cool. I did kind of mix her up with another person because, hey, that's what I do. But she was very cool about it, and this episode was really fun. If you could, guys, like, subscribe, comment, especially on iTunes. iTunes is what is going to bring this podcast to what it needs to be. They run the monopoly. They're the ones that fucking do it. But also, if you guys want to just do it on SoundCloud or Spreaker or Stitcher or YouTube or anywhere else, any likes, any subscribes is greatly appreciated and very, very helpful. And also, if you want to email me, you can get a hold of me at joyshappyendings@gmail.com. So enjoy the episode. I'm going to press record. And if you change your mind later, we can not put it up. Okay. Oh, shoot. Don't let me forget to take the picture.
All right. I'm just making sure that we have our phones on silent.
Oh, yeah, do that. Here. Oh, I think I do. Let's do it.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Get undressed, get under the sheets. Ooh, you're in for a treat. No, I promise this is not a dream. It's just a happy ending with Joy Eileen. So on the table, I have Alycia Cooper. Boom. Look at me. Woo! Right. I'm excited. I love you. I've seen you on stage so many times. And I love your story.
Oh, thank you.
Like when you talk about how you were a lawyer and then, yeah, I'm going to hold the magic talking stick now.
Well, no, I used to actually work in corporate America.
Okay.
As behind the scenes, I used to direct and produce. I got into the Directors Guild working on the Dr. Phil show.
I thought you were a lawyer.
No, you're thinking of Jackie.
Are you sure? Oh, well, obviously. Are you sure you know your life story?
Yeah, you're getting your brown-skinned black chick comics mixed up.
Damn it. But I knew that you were like, yeah.
Yeah, I had a good paying gig at one point, if that's what you're getting to. But I hit a wall with that because everything takes like turns that you wouldn't expect, and I did not know when I got into the television arena that reality television would hit like it did, and then I ended up over on reality television, and it wasn't for me.
Okay.
So, that was the thing that made me say, okay, I do comedy at night after working a 12-hour shift. Let me try to just focus on comedy because my job wasn't getting 100% of me and the comedy wasn't getting 100% of me. And I said, let me, try to see. I enjoy this. Let me see if I can make something happen. And it wasn't overnight. It took years. But eventually, I started making some headway and was able to sustain myself with solely comedy.
Okay. And have you ever had a massage before?
Yes, I have.
I figured as much because you knew where your head and your feet go. Normally when people are like, well, you haven't even seen it in a TV show? Like, really?
It was backward.
Couple of them.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm going to put my feet in this circle. Let my toes hang out.
You're kind of like, what? How did that even make sense to you?
Yeah.
I had an older lady. She had to be in her 70s, and when I worked at the chiropractor, and I came in, and she was opposite, and I go, okay, hon, I'm gonna need you to turn around, and I'm gonna have your feet where your head are, and your head where your feet are. I'll leave the room, and she's like, you don't have to, honey. And she flipped around and spread her legs, so I saw everything. And I went home, and I'm all, I don't want mine to look like the back end of a rotisserie chicken. And John's like, what? No! Why would you say that? I'm all, that's what it looked like. It scared me. I'm going to go do Kegels. I'll be back. Oh.
So I take it she had a few children.
Yes. Yeah. Oh.
She sounded Irish Catholic or Mormon. One of the two.
Tuck that in. Just like, what are you? It's all, whoa. If there's a breeze and you're wearing a skirt, does it go, whoo? Ah.
Is she stepping on it?
Yeah. Throw it over her shoulder while she runs. Like,
Tucks it in her bra. But that's why they had that whole plastic surgery called vaggie rejuvenation.
Yep.
So that's probably for people like that.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're 70, like, what's the point? Just let it flap.
You've earned it.
You have earned it.
I don't know.
Yeah. See, my kids were all C-section. In fact, when I had my son and I went in for the checkup, the doctor goes, you can tell you had a C-section. It's immaculate down here. And then, of course, me being the asshole I am, I'm like, yeah, you can eat off of it. I'm like, why did you say that?
So curious to see how immaculate mine is now. Like, what, comparatively, just a before and after picture would be nice just to know, like, how wrecked it is.
I massaged a lady once. She's my patient, and I hope she doesn't listen to this podcast, but I love her. And in fact, her two daughters, she has two daughters, and I've used both of her daughters' names in two of my books. They're the main characters because I love her kids. And she had to have hers nipped and tucked because it was too long. And she came in and she's like, okay, you have to be careful with my legs. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then she's like, yeah, I had puss surgery. And I'm like, huh? And why are we calling it puss? Like, yeah.
You didn't have to tell me that.
Yeah. Like,
I just would have avoided.
I don't normally touch that area anyway, so we're good.
Have you had any weird experiences while getting a massage, or have they just been therapeutic and nice?
No, I remember when I grew up in Maryland. In one of my earlier jobs, I was working for this lady. She had a PR firm, and she did it out of her house in Silver Spring. So I would drive to her house to work. I think maybe I'd say at least 4 days a week. And one of her gifts to me was a massage. But it was a husband and wife team. Now, at that point, I had never had a massage in my life. And I was early 20s. And I was so uncomfortable with this husband and wife team. I felt like I was a part of a weird menage.
Yeah.
And I was so stressed out. I came out worse. After the massage, I was more tense. I was more knotted up and balled up after the daggone massage because they were moaning. I was wait a minute. You know, so
Did you check their lotion bottle first?
I was like, who's this husband-wife team? Two people massaging and moaning like I was in some weird seance. And then I couldn't say anything to my boss, but thank you, because then you sound like an ingrate.
Right.
But I was more stressed out than I started.
See, I was with you.
Better just had sex with those and yeah, we're good.
You know,
You wouldn't be as tense. You'd be like,
yeah, they look like hippies and, you know, so I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah, you're definitely in their spank bank. You were deposited in their spank bank immediately.
Yeah, they had been married like 40 years and, you know, but I was like, oh, okay.
They were probably moaning trying to get you to go, and they're like, moan louder, she's not into it yet. You're face down, they're both naked. You're not.
I kept my eyes sealed shut. Super glue couldn't have sealed my eyes together better.
That's a fantastic story, especially for your first one. Oh my gosh. I'm surprised you've ever got another one.
When did you go back to get another?
That's a good question.
It was a while. It was a while, and it was one person, and it was in a massage facility.
Yeah.
You know, so and that was much better. Actually, it wasn't until I moved to LA, and I started, you know, getting massages there because the jobs were just so stressful. Mm-hmm. You know, so I started regularly getting them. I lived in North Hollywood, and there was a massage place.
How old were you when you moved to LA?
I was 27.
So you've been here 3 years. Okay.
Yeah, I've been here a year and a half.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I moved here twice though. You know, I left and I went back to the East Coast. Then I moved back to Maryland where I grew up. Then I moved to New York City because I wanted to do a year of comedy there. And woo! I mean, I'm glad I did it. I wouldn't change anything. But that is a comedy town and a 24-hour town. I've never been somewhere with 3 a.m. on a Wednesday. You're standing on a platform with like 400 people.
That's insane.
It's intense.
I would thrive off of that, though. Except for the people. Like, I don't like people. I don't like crowds, but I would thrive off of the 3 a.m. We're doing shit. Like, yeah? Where are we going?
I mean, oh my gosh, it's a very unique place to me because, you know, I grew up more suburban. You get in your car, you go.
Uh-huh.
You know, and this was before Uber and Lyft. I probably would have a better time now because I would never get on the subway. I just Uber and Lyft everywhere. But the first night I got there, after I dropped my things off at my place, I went to, you know, just explore. And it was the funniest thing because everybody was like same-sex couples. So they had like, you know, 2 guys. One would have his hand in the other guy's back pocket, or 2 women would be kissing. I said, "Ooh, New York is very gay." I had no idea there was gay pride going on. I just thought everybody was in a same-sex relationship. I didn't know it was a parade happening. So the next day I saw the news. I said, "Oh, okay."
No wonder all the plays are about gay people in New York.
And I was like, well, no wonder everybody's kissing. I just thought that everybody was gay in New York. I didn't know it was my first night.
You're in
New York is the new San Francisco.
Yeah, I wasn't even in the village. I was just walking around. And I was like, oh.
Square.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And then I saw the news, and I said, oh, I'm just such an idiot.
Now, do you have any other, like, good massage stories, or are they just all normal now? Except for some girl trying to get you on her podcast.
Good massage stories.
Not very many people have them, so when I find someone, I'm like, oh, give them to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different kinds of massages. Like, I like the one you do. This is excellent. And I also like the water massages.
Yes, those are good.
Yeah, so I took my father came to visit, so I took him to one of the ones where you can get, it's called a hunter's retreat, where it's like your body is in a car wash during the massage. And so I couldn't wait to hear what my father thought about it because he's an extreme alpha male.
Okay.
So I said, so Dad, how'd you like? He said, I've never been this clean. I was cracking because they basically exfoliating your toes and everything. You're gonna shed a layer of skin,
right?
But I was cracking up because my father always has the funniest responses to stuff. They're quick and they're succinct and they just get right to the point. Like he was so mad about the election of Donald Trump. He said, if you can't see that this fool is a fool, then you're a fool. I was crying laughing.
That's a bumper sticker right there.
Yeah, I was like, well, that sums up the presidency.
You're like, well, there's my merch.
Right? Get this on a shirt.
Yeah. And stickers and patches. Apparently those are things we need now. Hats.
So many hats. But I can't wear hats. I have too big. My ears are too big.
Well, I just have a big head.
Caleb, my middle son, his head is so big that when he was in the hospital, they couldn't find a beanie to put on him. So the nurse kind of gave up and just laid it on top of his head and walked out. I'm like, really? That's what we're doing right now? Screw it. Now, what do you do to relax? Like, do you have certain things that you do, or you just constantly go, go, go?
I'm trying to be less go, 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 so I've been listening to books on tape lately.
Okay.
So I've been doing that. Certain books I can just, veg out and just listen to. The other thing I listen to on tape is not as relaxing because it's more educational. Like I have the Masterclass series, the app for that. And so since I'm directing my first project next month, well, probably early April. Thank you. I've been listening to all the directors' master classes from Ron Howard to Spike Lee to Martin Scorsese, So I'm just listening to the master classes, but that's more, you have to pay attention to that. But then I've been listening to books on tape. Like whenever somebody's starting to run for the office, I go get their book on tape. Yeah. So I'm listening to the Kamala Harris one right now.
Okay.
So, so just a lot more listening than reading these days, really, because I don't have the time to hold a book and read it.
I get it.
So a lot of times when I'm listening to something on tape, I'm in the car. So.
Do you find that you like people's stories, or do you listen to like fictions as well?
It's a good question. I think it's a combination of both. And everything doesn't stick with me right away. Like everybody's like, you have to get that book, something about blood and bone. That everybody was talking about, and I ordered it, and I was listening to it. It didn't catch, I felt like I was forcing, not to say it's a bad book, but I was forcing myself to continue to listen. So what I find that I like more now is more nonfiction, the Fire and Fury and Donald Trump, that kind of stuff. Yeah. I think things that really matter are the things that have my attention now, but it might change at some point.
Right. And it also goes with the narrators, too, because there's a couple times I'm like, you need to stop talking through your nose. Stop talking through your nose. And people probably think I'm crazy in the car because I'm yelling, like, why are you talking? Like, stop. Yeah. Just talk like a human.
Yes, you're right.
Vocal fry, what are you doing?
Oh.
But I like it when the author is the narrator.
I agree.
Like 2 books, comedy books that I listened to in the last year that had me cracking up was the first book that I thought I would never hear anything funnier was Jennifer Lewis's book called The Mother of Black Hollywood. I laughed, and she read it herself, which is great because she's theatrical. So she takes you on a journey with her. I almost ran into a tree laughing. So I thought I'd never find a book funnier. Right after I finished hers, I listened to Kevin Hart's book. I Can't Make This Stuff Up.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness, that book was so funny. It's about his upbringing, and it was just. And what also makes it funny is because it's a unique story to him. Nobody else has his story, and it was hilarious. So those two books had me cracking up. So I like good books written about comedians' life stories.
Yeah.
No, I could see that. That's interesting.
I was given a comedy book at the Comedy Store the other day, and I thought it was that, and it just turned out to be lessons on how to do stand-up. And do you know Lou Deck? He's from the beginning of the Comedy Store, and he was there doing the documentary that they're doing right now, and he found out that I do stand-up, and he was just like, oh, I have a gift for you, and handed me a book, and then it was like, the first 50 times you're on stage, they're the scariest, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, you're right, and then he handed me a book that was him trying to teach me how to write jokes, which is not insulting at all when you see a female comic and just assume she doesn't know what she's doing. But yeah, it was it's funny. I came to comedy through theater, and so I was already, writing, but it's different because you're doing stand-up and the beats are different and everything, but it's kind of funny out here, just the people that read the books to learn how to do comedy or taking classes and stuff. How did you get into writing for comedy?
I moved out here because I saw a sitcom called Living Single and fell in love with it. This was right after falling in love with the Golden Girls. So I like the shows with the 4-point opposition and all the characters. You have the Dorothy type that's really deadpan. Then you have the Blanche that's the sex kitten. Then you have the Rose that's the dingbat. Then you have the older lady who's just the one that just comes in with the zingers. So then when you see that format, you're like, oh, that's really interesting. Then when I saw it with Living Single, I related to those characters, and I was like, I really want to create sitcoms. That's what I moved out here to attempt to do. Had no idea what it took. And then realizing that to get into a writer's room is almost virtually impossible, because sometimes they tell you have to be in the Writers Guild to get the job interview, but you can't get the job, you know what I'm saying, because you get in the guild. So it's like this weird catch-22. And I didn't want to be a production assistant. Definitely didn't want to be a writer's assistant. That's like a court stenographer. So I was like, I have to figure out another way. So I had tried stand-up and didn't know that people wrote material. I thought everybody was just getting up, talking off the top of their head because they were just so comfortable and talented.
That's the way they make it look, yeah.
They make it look easy.
And then I get on stage and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I'm like, I've been making people laugh since elementary school. This should be eaten now.
Yeah.
It is an art form that you will learn to respect. So I had to learn how to write a joke and learn how to construct a joke. And I still didn't see comedy as something for me.
Yeah.
I still wanted, I still had my day job and I wanted to rise in the ranks of television production. But once everything switched from, sitcoms went away for a minute because reality shows took up a lot of the airspace, I didn't really want to do that. So after doing comedy at night, because I ended up being forced to do it, I was producing a show, and one of the other producers said that she was doing a show this Friday, it was like a Monday, on the next big thing. She was going to have 2 singers, 2 rappers, and 2 comedians. And she said, and I booked you as one of the 2 comedians. And I said, why would you book me? I don't do comedy anymore. She said, because you're the funniest person in the office. I said, well, how hard is that to be? And I said, I have my own shows due.
Right.
I really don't have time to. Well, you're booked. She would not take no for an answer. So I was like, oh, hell. And this was a national TV show. So I said, well, let me try to figure something out. So I wrote, she said it's only 3 minutes. So I wrote a couple jokes. I went to the Ha Ha Cafe in North Hollywood to try to practice.
First place I did comedy was the Ha Ha.
and it was a lukewarm reception, but at least I got to hear the words come out of my mouth before I put it on television. And then they had judges. And then the judges did not give me a bad critique, because had they given me a bad critique, I'd have quit again. But they gave me encouraging words, so that's when I started doing it at night. and working all day, but still not planning on doing it full time. It was just a fun, creative outlet at that time.
Right.
So, but life morphs. You don't really know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah. You're like, oh, I wasn't expecting this to go here. All right.
Exactly. But let me tell you my new form of relaxation that happens, I believe, after 40. You really get too exhausted to drive. So what I do now is I just Uber and Lyft, like places where I would drive myself. I leave my car parked at home, and I'll jump right into a Lyft and just let somebody drive me, because it's so much better. You're not stimulated mentally the whole time like you have to be in order to drive. Looking at the lines in the road and watching other cars and defensive driving. You can just lay back if you want to. You can close your eyes. You can snore if you want to. It's just a much more relaxing way to do things, is to let somebody else drive you.
I like that. Just your little, just give me a couple minutes.
Yeah, just let me close my eyes and let me just turn my brain off. And that's my relaxation now, just not driving myself. Just leaving the car parked and let somebody else do the driving. That isn't Greyhound.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Have you ever had to ask them to change the music or stop doing something?
Oh, the funniest thing happened last night. I had a Montreal Just for Laughs showcase at the Hollywood Improv. And that's when I said, I'm definitely not driving myself. So I hit the Lyft app, and this guy picks me up, and he's like an older kind of foreign guy. I don't know exactly which country. But he said, oh, you're going to a comedy club. And I said, yeah. He said, are you watching somebody, or are you going to be part of the show? And I made the mistake.
Oh, no.
I should have said just watching somebody. That would have. I've learned as of last night, don't be honest. So I said, I actually have a showcase. And he was like, oh, why does this man proceed to start telling me a series of bad jokes?
Why?
And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm starting to panic. Like, I try to call one of my friends, and then she doesn't pick up. So he's like, yeah, well, I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri in the 60s, and we told all of our jokes were ethnic jokes. I was like, oh, please don't let him do no N-word jokes in the back of this daggone Lyft.
Did not want to have to go to the hospital today, but I'm definitely going to knock this man out while he's trying.
I thought that's what he was angling for, but he proceeds to tell a series of Polak jokes.
Of course.
First of all, I ain't even heard the word Polak in a decade.
I kind of remember when that was a big... I remember those jokes when I was little, and they were kind of and you had no idea what they were talking about, but you were just like, I'm going with it.
And he's like, how many Polacks does it take to change a light bulb? And then whatever his punchline was, which I don't remember, it was so wah, wah, wah. Thank God, his third Polak joke in a row, my phone rang. I picked that phone and I talked all the way till we got to the Hollywood Improv. I did not want this man to start back up.
Your friend's ready to go, and you're like, no. What about that thing that you were talking about the other thing?
Yeah.
In fact, I'd be like, you can hang up. I'm just going to continue talking to my phone. I've done that. There's been a couple times I've been trying to avoid people, and I'd grab my phone and I'm like, just don't ring, because then I'll look really dumb. And I'll just walk and be like, improv classes, let's try these.
I got into a Lyft the other day, and the girl had signs taped to the outside of the car, so it should have been a warning, but it wasn't. And then I opened the door, and she had twinkle lights all taped up throughout the car, and then little hearts dangling from all over the ceiling with notes on them, love yourself and things like that, which is nice and great, but there's just stuff throughout the car. It was like a 14-year-old girl's room, and then the music she had on was awful, but non-offensive. It just was nothing. And I was sitting there, and it's like if the concept of non-binary were a sound was what was in her car, and I didn't know what. I was just sitting there. I'm like, I can't tell. She's so nice and chipper, but you can't tell her hey, whatever that is needs to go. And her car, it was having a seizure with a child in the car. I was like, I don't know what's happening, but there's definitely sensory overload. They're weird. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they spend all their day. I can't. I don't know. They spend all their day in the car, you know. So they just decorate it. I don't know. That's weird.
But the good thing about Uber and Lyft, like, you don't have a boss. Like, you know, it's like you can set your own out, turn your phone off when you don't feel like being bothered, turn it on when you do.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's a great way to keep people like that need employment afloat. You know.
It's the new waitressing. Like
yes, it's better than waitressing because waitresses can't, you know, just. They can, like, especially a waitress who's an actress, can't just turn it off. You can turn it off, go to an audition, and turn it back on.
That's completely true.
That's so true.
Now, weird transition. Have you ever had any like crazy injuries or any injuries that you've had to deal with?
Injuries. Nothing like major.
Okay.
When I was little, I fell off my skateboard and sprained my ankle. But
I can't do skateboards. My body, like, I can't dance either, though. Like, I'm that girl that's like, I think I can do it, but my body's like, no, you can't. Try it, we'll laugh at you. All right, never mind.
Well, as an adult, about maybe a month ago, I had a weird injury that came out of the blue. And I was watching TV and the DVD stopped. And I go to get up and eject it and, you know, put something else in. And my toe gets caught in the comforter. Next thing I know, I'm airborne, flying towards the TV and the DVD player. And it was like something from the Greatest American Hero. Like I was like, believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free. Flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be? Believe it or not, it's just me. And then I landed. And next thing I know, my toe, like, swole or something. Like, I couldn't, like, when I would put it in a shoe, I could feel it when I would step down. So I don't know what injury that is. I don't know if it was a sprain, but that thing hurt for, like, 4 nights.
Yeah.
Off just tugging it on the comforter because my big toe went to the left and my other 4 toes went to the right of this comforter. And I was like, how do you get your ass whipped by a comforter?
Oh, it's possible.
What were you watching? Sorry.
Yeah, what was that DVD? It must have been something really good that got me injured.
Yeah.
But y'all know there's some good movies out. I just came from the theater and saw this movie called Prodigy. Oh, it is such a good horror.
Is that the one with the little girl?
The little kid. He's a little boy.
Oh, little boy.
Prodigy. Yeah, Prodigy was so good. And I'm waiting for the month of March for Jordan Peele's Us movie.
Yes.
So...
I don't have time to watch movies. No. I get all my information from the massage room.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's always wrong. My husband's like, what the hell are you saying? I'm all, well... Between the 3 patients I had today, this is what I've pieced together. He's like, whoa. Well, there's a movie.
You're so wrong.
And same with, like, the weather, because I see weather on an hour or 90-minute increment. So, like, I'll walk out in the office, and I'm like, oh, it's light. And then an hour later, I'm like, oh, it's raining. I'm like, oh, okay. When that happened? Like, my life's in, like, hour snapshots. It's really weird. That was an odd noise, too.
It was. It made me think of home for a second. Because we have a cannon that goes off at 12 every day.
Why?
Because we live near the sea, and apparently, I don't know. It's an East Coast thing, I think. I don't know. It's...
Okay. I'm not judging. I have weird things, too. I grew up in Madera.
What was growing up in Maryland like?
It was pretty cool at that time. It was just so much fun. It was very diverse, and everybody got along, and you know, it was just a great time to grow up. You didn't have to pay for your kids' education for them to get a decent education because the Maryland school system is good. And it was just fun times. You know, that was back when people would go to the skating rink, and you know, just so many things that we did that really aren't happening today. Like, you know, when we came along, that's at the beginning of what do you call them? 'Cause I don't even play them anymore. Those games on the television, the video game. Just the beginning of that.
Okay.
So where some kids are born already into it. So it was a big deal when video games came about. But by then we had all played outside for so many years and did so much physical activity, and nobody, pedophiles. You would hear maybe one neighborhood pedophile and you knew who he was. So nobody went over in that direction.
Don't go to Larry's, okay.
Exactly. What do we call him? He did have a name.
Oh, I love that.
He did have a name. Oh, man. Oh, I'm going to have to call some of my friends and get that pedophile's name.
Yes, because I guarantee it was a good one.
Oh, it was... no, that wasn't it. That's what people just started calling generic pedophiles. They started calling him Chester the molester. But no, he really had a name. I'm going to have to find out what it was. But now, if you... the scariest thing to do is to Google the pedophiles in your area, because it's like 1,000 dots all over right where you live.
Everywhere. Like in your house. You're like, what the fuck?
You're like, wait a minute, nobody's here but me and Dad,
Right.
So, but when we were coming up, it was like one neighborhood pedophile. Now it's like one per household. So it's just a different time.
It is.
But, we could do stuff. You could just go, like... You wouldn't have to come back home until the street lights came on.
Yeah.
There was no cell phone, so nobody knew where the hell you were. But you reappeared.
Yeah.
I was a latchkey kid. I would be afraid to have a latchkey kid now.
Yeah.
Because there's predators who just observe. And they're like, oh, this kid goes in the house every day at 3 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody paid us any attention.
Just like Theo Vaughn, because they lived in a poor neighborhood. And he's like, so the registered sex offenders would have to go and be like knocking on the door to explain who they were. And he's like, my mom worked 2 jobs. So, like, I was the one answering the door. He's like, we would play soccer with them. We just knew not to bend over. Like, sure, he says something funnier because Theo Vaughn's amazing. But, yeah, the gist of it was he'd made friends with the pedophiles. And
Yeah, it's true. It was such a different time.
it is.
What did your parents do to make you a latchkey kid?
My mom worked in retirement claims for the federal government, so anytime somebody was retiring, she calculated what their benefits would be and explained it to them, and and then she taught the classes to other people to teach retirement to the people who are retiring from the federal government. And my father owns an auto body repair shop in D.C., so he got a trade on how to repair cars, and that's what he did, was body work on automobiles.
Although your mom, as soon as you explained your mom's job, I was like, math.
Retirement, what's that?
Yes, all these weird calculations, because it depends on how long you've been in the government and, all this kind of stuff, how much you made, because that's going to make a difference in what you get monthly, and all these different figures that go into everybody's individual retirement.
Oh.
Now, was your mom really adamant about you making sure you had your retirement plan?
Ooh-wee. I mean, she did not understand why I left my job to go do stand-up, because that's no security at all.
Right.
So, that just didn't compute. For somebody who's worked from the time they were 18 on.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. And always had benefits and always had security. It just didn't make sense. But
watched people, retire.
Right.
Right.
So So my mother worked full time while she was going to Howard University. So she she never was without a job. So it just what I was doing. They don't understand that, being from the East Coast. But for me, it was more of do what makes you happy and the rest will follow.
Yep. Yeah. And it's funny, like the little things that kind of start bringing that to light. And you're like, should probably start now.
Right.
Can't start later, but I can do it now.
Right. And you know how, like, your family members, they'll have one house and live in it for like 50 years. We call it hunkering down. Some people are hunkered down, whereas, the newer generations, they've had 3 houses by the time they're like 45 because they just, I want this now, I want that now, I'd rather have this now, you know. So it's just it's all so different.
That's funny because that's how John, my husband, his grandpa bought property. He built 3 houses, 4 apartments. I live in one house, my mother-in-law lives in one house, and one of my sister-in-laws lives in one house. And then we have people who have lived in the apartments for like 30 years. And we call it the compound. And nobody leaves.
Yeah, see, as a Mormon, that sounds very different. The compound, no one ever leaves.
Nobody ever leaves.
Do you know Donnie and Marie?
My mom actually went to university with Donnie for a while.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was obsessed with Donnie Osmond.
How'd I know?
Because he was Mormon, we were allowed to listen to him. And for my 12th birthday, my grandmother bought me airplane tickets and concert tickets to go see him in Toronto. And I was so excited. And I was the only teenager in that audience.
Then you were the loudest.
I was. And then we saw him trying to escape the building. We were at the Hummingbird, and he was sneaking out the back door, and my grandpa almost hit him with the car, and I pushed my father into traffic to jump out of the car and run up to him and be like, oh my God, it's you. So excited. My dad and my grandpa were so mad that they had to go to that concert with me because they were like, we made it all the way through the 70s and the 80s without ever having to see this bastard. Mm-hmm. And now this is your fault.
But see, at least you were young.
Yeah.
I was 34 and I met Lizzie Hale and verbally vomited all over her while my husband was like, oh, she's gone. And I was like, I love you. And I go, what did I say? I wrote a book and I put your band in it, but I didn't do anything against copyright, so you don't have to sue me. But if you want to sue me, that's okay, because then we'd have a date in court. And I'm like, in my 30s.
Aww.
And then I go, can I hug you? And she's like, uh-huh. And then we leave, and I looked at John, and I go, why didn't you stop me? And he's like, you were gone.
You're done.
Your eyes dilated, and you were just like, blah, 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 blah. Oh. Yeah, no excuse for my age on that one.
Did you ever have a, like, maybe not externally, like the 2 of us, but like on the inside, you're like, oh my God, it's you. Have you ever had that?
Yeah, on a smaller scale though. I was at the Hollywood Improv coming out of the lab about 5 years ago when they first built it.
Yeah.
And who do I see right in front of that marquee box office kind of area? You guys aren't going to remember him, but somebody listening to this will. Rodney Allen Rippey. He was a little black kid in all the commercials in the 70s with a little afro.
Okay.
He was big before Gary Coleman.
Okay.
He was the cutest, like a little Monchi-Chi. And he had this afro, and he was doing like Burger King commercials, and the burger was bigger than his little hands, and he was so cute. We were the same age back then.
Okay.
And his name was Rodney Allen Rippey.
Okay.
To the point where he still today looks the same.
Okay.
But I noticed him immediately, like the commercial just aired yesterday. I was like, Rodney Allen Rippey. I went up and got my picture with him, and I was so excited.
Isn't that funny, though? Like, how you see some people who have affected your lives, and other people are like, who? Huh? Because I listen to rock music, and that's not a lot of people like rock. So when I see people, I'm like, oh, they're like, who's that? And I'm like, but that's from, and they're like, no idea who you're talking about. Well, to me, you show me Taylor Swift, I'll walk right by her, but anybody else? Like Dean Del Rey got to do a podcast with Corey Taylor from Slipknot's doing Sour, and I'm like, can I just touch your face? Your face that talked to him? And then Dean Del Rey is like, you are weird, and I probably will never be on your podcast now. I'm like, yeah, understandable.
Yeah, we make things good and awkward.
Mm-hmm.
I had that with Mark Maron when I first moved out here because I just love his writing. I didn't know he was sober. And I asked one of the waitresses if she could get him a drink. And she's like, fine, but I'm bringing it to you. And so she brought me a shot of Bullet. And I was like, this is not how the drink delivery process goes, but okay. Then I get to talk to him. And I just like really awkwardly just tried to hand him a shot. And he was just like, what is that for me? And I was like, yeah, I know. She brought it to me to give to you. I don't know why, but here, this is really awesome for me. I'm so sorry that this is happening to you right now. I'm really sorry, but this is awesome. And he was just like, I don't drink. And I was like, cool, me neither. No, I just have that. And he was like, what's your name? And I was like, say a different name. I was like, Emily. Ah, shit. But I don't think he remembers, so it's fine.
Now, who are the comics that you like right now? Like who?
Right now, I mean, I still have the same old staples that I've always gravitated towards, like Chris Rock. You know, I really, really, really enjoy his comedy. I enjoy the risks he takes. I enjoy how fearless he is. I enjoy, in a way, I sort of like feel like I have. I can relate to him because he does like the same thing I like to do, which is current events. You know, I love talking about what's happening right now. The only problem is it has a short shelf life, but it also keeps you writing.
Exactly.
You know, so I like him. I like the specials Dave Chappelle put on Netflix recently. Yeah, Dave is just so different, interesting, and unique. You know, and the way he thinks is so outside of the box that I really enjoy him. And at the Comedy Store working, the people that I get to work with on a regular basis that I love to watch are like Eric Griffin. I like to watch Neil Brennan, Rick Ingram.
He's my favorite. I have a comedy crush on him. And he's going to have to get a restraining order against his wife. I'm sorry, Corinne. I love you.
Yeah, Ian Edwards, Owen Smith. You know, there's so many that I just really enjoy watching.
Ian Edwards is going to be the narrator of my life. He just doesn't know it yet. He has the greatest voice. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want you to walk around and be like, Joy got Starbucks and said, fuck that bitch to that girl. And be like, oh! Come on, let's keep going.
Yeah. I love watching you all on stage because it's school when we get to watch you because you're all so amazing and writing, and I love your brain. I love your brain so much.
Thank you. It's a trip because of the Comedy Store. You don't know who's watching. You don't know who's paying attention. You know, because there's so much going on in a night. Yeah. But yes, it feels good when Emily, you know, people like you come up and say, "Oh, I was listening and I enjoyed what I heard." That's a good feeling because the people that work at the club, people don't realize they do have a say in whether you get booked back, because bookers listen to the wait staff, the bartenders. They listen to everybody who works in that building.
Because we know what we're laughing at, you know.
Right, and if you get too many bad critiques,
right.
like that was a waste of 15 minutes. Like too many people say that.
I can tell you one person that was the other night, and I'm all, what? You know what though? I told one of the door guys, I go, I might not be the best comedian, but I know for a fact I'm better than him. And he started laughing, and I walked away, and I go, validation! And then they're all, Joy, there's shows on. I'm all, oh, sorry.
Yeah, like we're interrupting.
Yeah.
It was absolute, like, I'm not afraid to say who it was. Tom Arnold ate a bag of dicks on stage.
It was big.
And then ran the light while doing it, and I was like, holy shit, that wasn't even... Like, I understand when you're on stage and it's not... Like, sometimes an audience just doesn't get you and you're just looking for, like, the big laugh to end on.
Right.
But it was the second time I'd watched him and I was like, I don't understand why Roseanne slept with you. Like,
yeah, she's hilarious.
Yeah. I was like, be funny. Like,
it was so
it's
bad.
It's nothing about, like, looks or anything like that. Like, be funny and nice. Like, that's all you have to do.
Like, the whole audience was quiet. And I watched at least 4 people at 4 different tables whisper, like, what the fuck is happening right now? And then I got the giggles.
Yeah.
So I was all, and they were looking at me and they're like, Joy, you have to leave. And I was all, oh my God, this hurts so bad.
Which room was he in?
He's in the main room.
Ooh.
Yeah. I saw.
I don't think. Well, his body was in the main room. Where his head was, I don't
know.
It was in space.
The first time I saw him, I walked into the main room, and I went over to a table, and I realized it was completely silent. But you're like in your head doing your work or whatever. And I looked up, and I out loud to the table said, "Is he just playing on his phone?" Because he was trying to find a recording of himself that he had recorded listening to something, and he was making comments on, but he couldn't remember what he had said in his comments, so he was just going to play it for everyone, but then couldn't find it on his phone, so he had to get an audience member to come up and find it for him. And I was just like, is he... Oh, and he did it for about... I don't know actually how long it was, but it felt like 5 minutes, where he just stood there looking at his phone.
He got so much money in that divorce settlement from Roseanne that he could just play on the phone on stage.
That's true.
You know?
Sorry, we're talking shit, but it was deserved.
I wasn't going to say the name.
Oh, I don't care. Tom Arnold, it was really bad.
Yeah, but this is like, my name's on the podcast.
I did it. Joy does not endorse these statements.
Look, retweets are not endorsements.
In fact, I'm the one who laughed at you. I was the only one laughing.
So you heard those chuckles.
Yeah.
They were mean.
Okay, so how do you feel?
I feel amazing.
Yay. And is there anything you want to promote, talk about?
My birthday is Saturday, March 2nd. I don't know when this is going to air, so I'm going to Vegas that weekend to have a really good time.
Ooh.
And promote. No, I don't really have anything to promote right now. Just got back from Tahoe, so that's over. And let me see. And I left my calendar open because I'm doing more auditions lately.
Okay.
And I'm just preparing to direct my first short film that I wrote called Trade, so look out for it.
That is awesome.
And you're also in the new Star Wars?
Oh, Spider-Man. Yeah, I was a voice in the Spider-Man that won an Oscar the other night.
Oh, very cool. I want to see that one. It looked cute.
Oh, the animation is otherworldly.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, the executive producer, Peter Ramsey, one of the many executive producers, he was so cool and so nice, and it was a great experience. It was my first time going into a voiceover booth and learning what it took. That's a job.
That is awesome, though.
The only good thing is it doesn't matter your hair, your makeup, none of that has. You can go in pajamas. But other than that, it's a job. You gotta talk from the diaphragm.
Right.
All the different inflections.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, ladies. This was fun.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to stop that.
All right, that was the episode with Alycia Cooper. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, please like, subscribe, click, comment, anything like that is going to super, super help this. And it only takes a second to do, and I greatly appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great week.